really see, how unimportant sports is during times like this. People losing their lives, the economy's, going crazy right now. So, I mean, it's difficult to put it all into perspective.
I think I might be the best of the group.
I want to know what makes this guy tick.
My mom's a retired police officer.
Just to have a young quarterback, a guy you're trying to build things around, and then bring in a piece like that with what we already have is huge.
Adversity doesn't build character, it reveals it.
As challenging as this may be, our IT department has certainly been the MVPs here.
What's up, guys?
Got the football on in the background, looking official.
That's it, man.
Good.
Is that where you're going to be for the draft?
Right here. The biggest question is, can I lose this suit and can I wear some funky, Tommy Bahama like Andy Reid style?
I think you go shirts and skins.
I don't have a body type for that. There he is.
Good to see everybody.
Absolutely.
Kliff, I like what you've done with your walls.
Still moving in. Only been here 9 months. Got the finishing touches.
Don't rush into anything, okay?
I won't. Slow process.
Anyway, it's good to see everybody, and looking forward to getting an update here. Typically, the first thing is it's get a cup of coffee in me and start answering some text messages and emails, and then get a workout in. It's obviously isolated. My dog's happy. Charlie is her name, and she's happy as can be. But I get up, try to get a little workout in.
I've stayed on my time clock. I generally get up around 4:30 or 5 and start off with emails and then usually jump right into the film where I can get quite a bit of the film review accomplished and the player evaluations, and then usually take a lot of the phone calls throughout the day. Spend a lot of time on the phone with Matt Harris, who oversees our salary cap. We've all been able to communicate, which is a good thing. It's just you don't have that daily interaction, which is tough.
The days seem long, but there are times where I'm like, boy, what time is the day going to end? And I look and it's 5 o'clock. But it just seems like there's a lot going on in the NFL. There's a lot going on with our organization. So when you look at the things that have interrupted NFL seasons, they're world wars, the assassination of President Kennedy, the attacks on 9/11. But today's situation creates all sorts of challenges that we've never seen before.
Nora, sports is often an escape, but that is no longer the case. The real world collided with the sports world, and in less than 24 hours, athletic competition around the country came to an unprecedented halt.
It's hard to believe just 6 weeks ago that all of our scouts and our coaching staff were in Indianapolis for the Combine, and just weeks before that, we were in Mobile, Alabama for the Senior Bowl, and now this.
It's not the easiest place to get in and out of, but for the most part, all of the top NFL people, scouts, coaches, we all sort of convene here. You get your fill of gumbo down here and all the different types of foods that are big regionally, and it's a tradition. But more than anything, you get a chance to see these players all come together, and you see different helmets out in that field, which is fun to see. You see a Florida Gator, an LSU Tiger, and then all of a sudden you look over and there's a guy from Liberty. It is really neat to see those guys, because some of the players who've gone on to have great careers from smaller schools are guys that came down here and sort of proved their worth. So you want to be able to see them do it on a big stage, and there's no bigger stage than the Senior Bowl in terms of All-Star games.
All right, what do we got here?
Well, you're talking about cover 3. Here's your look.
Exactly.
The size of this receiver group
It's crazy.
is huge. They're
That
all
corner.
big. They're all long.
The guy made some catches earlier now.
This kid plays above the rim.
No, he made some catches earlier where it was like, ooh boy.
Yeah.
He's a blocker a little bit
Hey,
too.
He's got some intensity to him.
What the
He's tough.
heck?
It's my 12th Pac-12 Senior Bowl, man?
The number is a good question. I don't even know, man. I started in 95, started coming here probably 97, 98.
Every year you look forward to it because it always is attracting the most talented senior prospects in the country.
Every year, they're just better and better. It's amazing. There's a lot of good linemen here, both ways. What I do is, for starters, I kind of want to look at all my own players, everybody that I've evaluated in my area, questions that I have on the guys.
Every one of the scouts has a position that they evaluate throughout the week. We sit down, we meet, we talk about each player individually, and we rank them.
That guy might be the best of the group.
I'm going to say more than might. I think he takes the crown this week.
He's got the crown?
He does.
Yeah, well, like I said, I'm a newbie to him, so I want to see guys compete. I want to know you love football. I want to feel it. I love that little guy. He just brings juice.
He's got juice.
He just brings juice. I mean, that's what you want. You want a guy that's going to compete and be tough. And I know he's small, but
he makes up for it in other ways.
He certainly does. The interview was unbelievable.
Great kid.
The other opportunity I have is to interview him. This is a lot of times the first time you get a chance to visit with him.
Spend some time with them personally, and then match that up with what you thought about him in the fall, and then come together in April and read them as a group and see where they fall on your board.
Where's his throw? Has he got him? Oh, he got deep.
Oh, got to finish. Put it on his fingertips.
Wow, he could have used that. That'll help his cause.
You have a pretty firm idea of what you feel about that player when you're evaluating him in the fall. This, again, can solidify it. Like, wow, you know, I liked this guy last year. I had this grade on him, and he came to the game, and he just lit it up. He's going to be faster on the clock. The other guy, just a little more polished, a little cleaner. Across the board in terms of routes, hands, everything.
Really. And that's kind of the approach that we take out here. It's just kind of hone in on all the guys that we're interested in and really narrow it down to guys that we believe we can win with. Look at this kid. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
Little guy caught it.
Come on. He climbs the ladder.
Yeah. Had a good week. Deserves it.
You have a good week? You get the call, right? Isn't that what he says?
He says.
What our guy says? Somebody says that.
The biggest part is it's more of a show now. I think that's the biggest change for me. Having been through it and having seen it the last number of years. We don't miss on the talent. That's easy, that's on the tape. We miss on the person. I want to know what makes this guy tick. I want to know what's his motivation. Is he smart enough? Is he passionate in what he wants? Are they willing to put in the work to be better?
Usually we'll start off and just ask them to tell us a little bit about themselves and sort of open it up there and then really get a little more detailed. We have books that are already made up about every player that not only focuses on issues that could be off the field, but anything that we would have questions about, moving positions, weight, size, anything that they've been through in their life that maybe is pertinent to the information we're trying to gather.
Well, let's get to know you a little bit. Talk about your background, where you grew up.
My mom's a retired police officer. My dad's a pastor.
Have you faced real adversity?
That's what I'm looking for right there.
Night all right so far? Oh yeah, doing good.
Had to look good, look good, perform good.
How is this guy on a daily basis? What's his mood like? Is he yes sir, no sir? I mean, is it, all those things sort of fall into the puzzle. And, you know, really when you hear about a guy who's treats people with respect and does all things the right way, it just really is all about that sort of attention to detail that we're looking for.
It's definitely a lot more settled. I think as an organization, we have our quarterback. We still have a high pick, but I think our guys know what we're looking for, where we're trying to take this thing, and so I think everybody feels a lot better going into this year. Awesome. Appreciate y'all, man. Hey, there he is. What's happening? Yes, sir. How you doing? Good? Sean, how are you, man? Good to see you. Yeah, congrats on yours, man. You did a hell of a job. It's fun to watch. Dan, how you doing, man? Good to see you. Doing all right? Yes, sir. One day at a time. Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. I don't miss recruiting, so it's a positive. Good seeing you.
Coach, you have an entourage.
Yeah, we got it rolling, man. That's what I like, having a bunch of people around me. Yeah, he's not playing baseball. So much to take on. There's so many different levels to it, but I'm enjoying the process. Knowing what we're looking for now in free agency and the draft to fit our systems is huge, and I think there's a much greater synergy between personnel department and our staffs at this point.
We both have a great deal of respect for each other. Obviously, the lines of communication between me, Michael, him, it's really what you're looking for. Kliff's easy to work with. He's learned on the run a little bit, and you saw a lot of growth out of him just in year one. And to me, it's fascinating to think about where that can go in the future, particularly with a young quarterback that really fits his schematical approach.
We had an outstanding meeting with the coaching staff, the coordinators, Kliff, on what a Cardinal is at each position. So we've talked through it, what they look for at each position. So as we're watching these players on the road, we have a good feel of, this guy, he may not time well, but he has all those intangibles or does this one thing that Vance likes, like Kliff likes, something like that. So I think we have a great understanding of what our coaches are looking for.
Is this player going to be impactful? How much of an impact does he make at the position of need? And as we look at our roster, I don't think there's any position really that we can't address, whether it's from a starter standpoint, from a depth standpoint, that we can continue to grow and get better.
I definitely feel a lot more settled. I think as a staff we do as well. To have the majority of the staff coming back, bringing our systems back. Now in year two, you hope to really try and perfect it more and then expand upon it. And that's exciting for us as coaches to try and take that next step, have a young quarterback, have some young wideouts that we think we can grow with, and so we'll see where it goes.
When we talk about the fact that it's a quarterback-driven league, we know it's arguably the most important position on the field. To be able to have a young guy that you can build and grow with, this is my first opportunity to have one like Kyler. It really is so much different when you're building the roster.
Murray dives for the touchdown. Makes the run, rolls to the right, looking downfield, airing it out, middle of the field for Bird, caught at the 10. Another incredible throw by number one.
You look at Lamar Jackson in his second year, look at Patrick Mahomes.
Is it crazy to expect a giant leap from Kyler in year two?
Because it could be. He's the guy in 2020 that takes the league by storm the way Mahomes and Jackson did.
Yeah, they've made massive jumps, and that's exciting for a coach. It's good to have those young guys to point to and say, hey, it can be done. I can point to that, and he sees it, and he sees it's attainable, it's possible. It's going to take a lot of hard work and doing things the right way the entire offseason, but guys have done it, and he has that type of ability. We just have to build it around him, and he's got to work really hard to try and get there.
The time for further action is now. In Arizona, we are going to take a calm and steady approach to slow the spread of COVID-19.
A public health emergency of international concern.
The threat may be growing.
And now to the unprecedented shutdown of virtually all professional and college sports in this country.
And the NFL so far has been very quiet, but let me tell you what's going on behind the scenes. I think there are teams right now discussing whether or not to shut their training facilities.
Predictions, and these are just predictions because a lot is unknown about the coronavirus, are it will get much worse before it gets better.
I think it does set a tone for kind of the importance of social distancing.
This is a first for everybody, and you look at some of those restrictions, how would this affect the job you have to do?
We are in uncharted waters that we have not been in before, and we do not know how widespread this is going to be.
We're down to bare bones in the building as far as personnel, just following all the advice from the experts to say, let's limit our social contact with each other so that we can flatten the curve, so to speak. Yesterday, the latest update came from the league office, which restricted players being in their team facilities and restricted travel. This time of year, it's free agency. It's we usually bring in free agents for physicals and make our trades and do physicals on those guys. And because of the COVID-19 or coronavirus, I mean, it's pretty much changed everything that we do.
What an absolute incredible effort from Hopkins.
Well, here's a blockbuster, the first blockbuster of the NFL new league year. The Arizona Cardinals are trading David Johnson and draft picks to Houston for DeAndre Hopkins.
Wow. The Cardinals just landed one of the best receivers in the National Football League in his prime at 27 years old. This is a shocking development.
Sensational. That's the word you're looking for.
Exactly.
Yeah, sensational.
You know exactly what you're getting. This guy is a stud.
There's a frenzy today after this jaw-dropper of a trade. If you're Kyler Murray, I'm guessing you're doing a happy dance somewhere right now.
We just had a blockbuster trade and acquired DeAndre Hopkins. All that is pending, him passing a physical. The recent issues with the coronavirus and how we have changed our operations and dealing with it is going to make that complicated.
To have a young quarterback, guy you're trying to build things around, and then bring in a piece like that with what we already have is huge. And everything I've ever heard about the guy has been top notch. His work ethic, his toughness, all these things. And to add him to our roster, we couldn't be more pleased.
Have you talked to Kyler about it? Is he excited?
I have, just through text. Yeah, he's through the roof with excitement. He can't wait to get back and get it rolling.
I've loved DeAndre since he was at Clemson, followed him throughout his whole career, and obviously you've seen his unbelievable, young career unfold in Houston, and to be able to have him as a teammate, it's going to be something special. But honestly, it's difficult to really get too excited about anything, with everything that's transpiring around us. Sports is, I think you really see, how unimportant sports is during times like this. People losing their lives, the economy's, going crazy right now. So, I mean, it's difficult to put it all into perspective.
Help where you can. Arizona is our family, and we want to keep everyone safe.
I'm just hoping that we can get through it quickly, and that, that we can do our role in terms of, putting out public service announcements, making sure that we're demonstrating as a company, all the best practices that we can have right now.
Avoid settings of 10 or more people. And practice social distancing.
And we will get through this together.
Free agency starts in a few hours, and it's a joyful time around free agency, but at the same time, it's all in the atmosphere of it's a very scary time for the country, for the world, for our community, and for people individually.
The Arizona Cardinals added another piece to their defense yesterday. They agreed to a 3-year deal with Devon Kennard.
The Cardinals needed an edge guy opposite of Chandler Jones, and they got a good one. Devon Kennard, a local product as well. He went to Desert Vista High School, and he's the son of Derek Kennard, my favorite teammate maybe of all time.
Without further ado, we'll sit Devon now.
I want to congratulate everybody, including myself, I guess, because this is the first time I heard this has happened. So we're making history here. That's a way to start things off on the right foot, I guess. My dad was super excited. He couldn't believe it. I remember when I first mentioned it to him, he was like, really? Like, no way. It's just the fact that, father and son being able to play for the same organization. I don't know how many times that's happened, but, I'm sure it's not that common. So to have that kind of opportunity and for it to be home where, my family lives and everything is really cool.
All right. Hey, first off, just appreciate everybody joining us. Hope you're all safe. I know it's challenging times. And
a lot of things have changed over the last couple of weeks as evidenced by the fact that we're all speaking on Zoom. I think about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I'm not even sure I knew what Zoom was, but it's great to see these guys sort of homegrown. They grew up Cardinals fans, and then later we're drafting them or we're signing them.
You look at Kennard, very solid, tough, high character player. Had production in the sack department, but really physical in the run game as well.
Cardinals come back today and fill another need, signing Buffalo Bills defensive lineman Jordan Phillips. The 27-year-old Phillips is a 5-year veteran who posted 13 tackles for loss and 9.5 sacks last season for the Bills.
I coached Jordan for a year in Miami, so I'm very familiar, with Jordan as a player and a person. So that's always important when you bring in new guys to your culture. You want to make sure first they're the right people, and secondly, they can help you win games. And he is a huge man at 6'8", about 330, and he fits what we're doing on defense perfectly.
What are my goals? Mainly just to show everybody that it wasn't a one-year thing. I was made for this. I was built for this, and just to let everybody in Arizona know that they got the real deal. The defense is going to get back to where it needs to be.
Hi. Hi. Good to see you. All right. As you go through these doors, you'll stop at the next table.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Just in these challenging times, man, I wanted to come out and do what I could do and help these folks out. You got to have a ton of respect for what they do each and every day, putting themselves in harm's way, and just goes a long way.
That's it. It took you 4 minutes.
Things happen quickly. We're in Indy. Luckily, we were able to get that in. We were able to get the senior win, so some evaluations in person were able to be done, but things change, and I think the teams that are able to adapt and adjust on the fly are the ones that are going to have success. Yeah, everybody's been in touch, kind of figuring out, hey, what the next steps are. We'll have draft meetings the next couple of weeks to kind of streamline that and figure out the most efficient way, but everybody will be in separate locations and operating like we would, just not next to each other.
All right, help yourself to snacks and drinks if you want. All right. You're all set. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Have a good one. Take care. Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it.
All right, gents, you there? We've had multiple conference calls and individual calls. I don't know that I've had more conversations, more committee meetings, more phone calls than I have over these last 2 weeks. My microphone is muted. All the team's IT departments really got us online, got us working virtually. A lot of our owners are not used to working with video technology and audio technology and file sharing and things like that. So I think everybody's got up to speed now. But we look at the adaptation of how we're going to handle the draft. There are a lot of individual conversations going on. Steve, why don't you, if you would, just talk a little bit about draft preparation so we're all on the same sheet of music.
Yeah, you said it best a few days ago that our IT department has certainly been the MVPs here. Mark Feller and his staff, and Carter Tamblin, who oversees our scouting system, and those guys have done a phenomenal job piecing this all together. We started off on Monday and really have gotten through the lower part of our draft board without any hiccups, and it's been efficient. It's the information flow has been outstanding, and the good news is 75% of the information that we needed to have this draft has been taken care of because of the combine.
Great. Can you talk a little bit about operationally how that's going to work? I think all of us will be in our respective residences, and are we set from a technological standpoint?
Yeah, and that's the great news. Again, the draft room will essentially be the same, except it'll be right through this system. It'll be the same people that were always in the draft room. We'll be able to communicate just like this. There'll be a few of us that would have been in the draft room anyways. We'll have virtual draft boards, and I have a little backup plan under lock and key. I have the old school grease draft board set up, which has sort of been fun for me to go back to the basics and hand write out with a Sharpie on the draft cards, just like we did about 25 years ago. And it'll be lonely. I won't have anybody to high five, but again, the work will be done, and our scouts have prepared well. Our coaches have worked their tails off. As challenging as this may be, in some respects, there have been some things that we've done, where The time that it would have taken a number of us to travel around the country and to fly to see these players, really the fact that we've been able to FaceTime with them, we've been able to acquire more information, and the relationships that we've built with some of the prospects have really been even better.
Well, that's great. I said this morning on our staff call. There's a quote, it's one of my favorite quotes from a 19th century writer. Adversity doesn't build character, it reveals it. And I think that's so true with some of the frontline healthcare workers, the doctors, the nurses, tech support that are at hospitals that are on the front line of fighting this virus for us, and I think it's great.